Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yatha Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagunaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishakam Vitam Scha Om Jnana Timaranda Shagyana Jana Shalakaya Chakshurum Milidam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gurva Bistam Supurakam Gurganara Sesha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Vedanipanam Shirupa Patanugam Govinda Bidam Ujwalam Bharatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Vande Vishwa Gurun Shah Divyat Bhagavat Prem Noe Bija Pranam Devam Divyatanum Suchanvaranam Balarka Chelansitam Sandrananda Puram Sadekavaranam Vairagya Vidyamburim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shubharam Mareka Sharanam Yashishvara Shridaram Vansha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahamananyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So we're reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupad. This is Madhya-lila, Chapter 9, Lord Chaitanya's Travels to the Holy Places. We'll start with verse number 280. Gokarne Shivadeki Aila Dvaipayani Surparaka Tirte Aila Nyasi Shiromani. After seeing Panchapsara, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Gokarna. While there he visited the temple of Lord Shiva, and then he went to Dvaipayani. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the crown jewel of all sannyasis, then went to Surparaka Tirtha. Kolapure Lakmi Deki Dekina Kira Bhagavan Langa Ganesh Deki Dekina Chora Parvati Kolapure Lakmi Deki Dekina Kira Bhagavati Langa Ganesha Deki Dekina Chora Parvati. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then visited the town of Kolapura, where he saw the goddess of fortune in the temple of Shira Bhagavati, and saw Langa Ganesh in another temple, known as Chora Parvati. Tata hoite Pandara Pure Aila Gorachandra Vitatala Takurdeki Aila Ananda. From there, Mahaprabhu went to Pandarapur, where he happily visited the temple of Vitatala Thakur. Vitatola Thakur. Premaveshe Koila Bahut Kirtana Nartan Tahan Ek Vipratare Koila Nimantran. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted and danced in various ways as usual. A Brahmin singing him in ecstatic love was very pleased and invited the Lord to his home for lunch. Bahut Adare Prabhu Ke Bika Koraila Bika Kore Tata Ek Shubha Bhartapaila. The Brahmin offered Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu food with great respect and love. After finishing his lunch, the Lord received auspicious news. Madhava Purir Sishya Shri Rangapurinam Se Grame Vipragrihe Korana Vishram. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu received word that Sri Rangapuri, one of the disciples of Sri Madhavendra Puri, was present in that village at the home of a Brahmin. Shunya Chalila Prabhu Tare Deki Bare Vipragrihe Vasi Achen Dekila Tahare. Following this news, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately went to see Sri Rangapuri at the Brahman's home. Upon entering, the Lord saw him sitting there. Premaveshe Koritare Danda Paranam Ashu Pulaka Kampa Sarvange Parigam. As soon as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw Sri Rangapuri, he immediately offered him obeisances and ecstatic love, falling flat on the ground. The symptoms of transcendental transformation were visible, namely tears, jubilation, trembling, and perspiration. Dekiya Vishmita Hoila Sri Rangapuri Man Utaha Sripada Boli Labachan. Upon seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in such an ecstatic mood, Sri Rangapuri said, "Your Holiness, please get up." Sripad Dharamor Gosaira Sambandha Tahabina Anyaira Nahi E Premara Ganda. Your Holiness is certainly related to Sri Madhavendra Puri, without whom there is no fragrance of ecstatic love. Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur remarks that up to the advent of His Holiness Sripad Lakshmipati Tirtha, it was a system in the disciplic succession of Madhvacharya to worship Lord Krishna alone. After Srila Madhavendra Puri, worship of both Radha and Krishna was established. For this reason, Sri Madhavendra Puri is accepted as the root of worship and ecstatic love. Unless one is connected to the disciplic succession of Madhavendra Puri, there is no possibility of awakening the symptoms of ecstatic love. The word Gosai is significant in this connection. The spiritual master who is fully surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and has no business other than the Lord's service is called the best of the Paramahamsas. A Paramahamsa has no program for sense gratification. He is interested only in satisfying the senses of the Lord. One who has control of the senses in this way is called a Gosai or Goswami, master of the senses. Okay. Eta bole Prabhu ke utaya koil alingan gata gali kore dohe korana krandan. After saying this, Sri Rangapuri lifted Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu up and embraced him. As they embraced shoulder to shoulder, they both began to cry in ecstasy. Kanake Abesha Chadi Duhara Dairya Hoila Ishvara Purir Sambandha Gosai Janaila. After some moments, they came to their senses and became patient. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then informed Sri Rangapuri about his relationship with Sri Ishvara Puri. Adbhuta Premera Banya Duhara Utalila Duhe Manya Kore Duhe Anande Basila. Because Sri Rangapuri has said, Your Holiness is certainly related to Sri Madhavendra Puri, without whom there is no fragrance of ecstatic love. After some moments, as I read, they came to their senses and became patient. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then informed Sri Rangapuri about his relationship with Ishvara Puri, the disciple of Madhavendra Puri, and Mahaprabhu's spiritual master. Adbhuta Premara Banya Duhara Utalila Duhe Manya Kore Duhe Anande Basila. They were both inundated by the wonderful ecstasy of love that was aroused in them. Finally, they sat down and respectfully began to converse. Duijane Krishna Kata Kohe Ratridine Emate Konaila Pancha Satadine. In this way, they discussed topics about Lord Krishna continually for 5 to 7 days. Kotuke Puri Tare Puchila Janmastan Gosai Kotuke Kohan Nabadipanam. Out of curiosity, Sri Rangapuri asked Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about his birthplace, and the Lord informed him that it was Navadip Dham. Sri Madhavapuri Sange Sri Rangapuri Purve Asijachila Teho Nadiyanagari. Sri Rangapuri had formerly gone to Navadip with Sri Madhavendra Puri, and he therefore remembered the incidents that had taken place there. Jagannatha Mishra Gare Bikak Jai Korila Apurva Mochara Ganta Tahan Jai Kaila. As soon as Sri Rangapuri recalled Navadip, he also recalled accompanying Sri Madhavendra Puri to the house of Jagannath Mishra, where Sri Rangapuri had taken lunch. He even remembered the taste of an unprecedented curry made of banana flowers. Jagannath there, that was Mochaganta. Jagannath there Brahmanite ho Mahat Patibrata Vatsaye Hoyanate ho Jena Jaganmata. Sri Rangapuri also remembered the wife of Jagannath Mishra. She was very devoted and chaste. As far as her affection, she was exactly like the mother of the universe. She's like Jaganmata. Randane Nipunatas Samanahi Tribhuvane Putrasam Sneha Koren Sannyasi Bhojane. He also remembered how Sri Jagannath Mishra's wife, Sachimata, was expert in cooking. He recalled that she was very affectionate toward the sannyasis and fed them exactly like her own sons. Tara ek Jogya Putra Koryache Sannyas Shankararanya Nama Tara Alpabayas. Sri Rangapuri also remembered that one of her deserving sons had accepted the renounced daughter at a very young age. His name was Shankararanya. Etirte Shankararanya Siddhi Prapti Hoila Prastave Sri Rangapuri Etika Kohila. Sri Rangapuri informed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that the sannyasi named Shankararanya had attained perfection in that holy place, Pandharpur. So he used the word Siddhi Prapti, which refers to a person passing away. Siddhi Prapti. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's elder brother was named Vishwarup. He left home before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and accepted the sannyas order under the name of Shankararanya Swami. He traveled all over the country and finally went to Pandharpur, where he passed away after attaining perfection. In other words, he entered the spiritual world after giving up his mortal body at Pandharpur. Sri Rangapuri, a disciple of Sri Madhavendra Puri and godbrother of Sri Ishwara Puri, disclosed the important news to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhu koe purvashrame te homora brata Jagannatha Mishra purvashrame mora pita. Saraswati and Isha.
You look so pretty. You look so beautiful. They always look beautiful. Yes, you're right. To show Maharaj you like.
Prabhu kohe purvashrame te homora brata Jagannatha Mishra purvashrame mora pita. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, in my previous ashram, Shankararanya was my brother and Jagannath Mishra was my father. So sannyasis, they say like that, in my previous ashram, before I took sannyas. Emata duijani ishtagoshti kori daraka dekite chalila Sri Rangapuri. After finishing his talks with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Rangapuri started for Dwarkadam. Dinachari Tata Prabhuke Rokila Brahman Vimanade Snanakori Korana Vitatala Darshan. After finishing his talks with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Rangapuri started for Dwarkadam. That means he went to Los Angeles. No. He started for Dwarkadam. Dinachare Tata Prabhu ke Rokila Brahman Bhimanare Snanakore Korana Vitatala Darshan. After Sri Rangapuri departed for Dwarka, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remained with the Brahman at Pandharpur for 4 more days. He took his bath in the Bhima River and visited the temple of Vitatala. How do you pronounce that? Vitatala. Tabe Mahaprabhu Aila Kana Benwa Tire Nana Tirta Deki Tahan Devata Mandire. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu next went to the bank of the Krishna Venva River, where he visited many holy places in the temples of various gods. The river is a branch of the river Krishna. It is said that Thakur Bilva Mangal resided on the banks of this river, which is also called the Vina, the Vani, the Sina, and the Bhima. Brahmana Samajasa Vaishnava Charita Vaishnava Sakala Pare Krishna Karnamrita. The Brahmin community was composed of pure devotees. They regularly studied a book called Krishna Karnamrita, which was composed by Bilva Mangal Thakur. So, the community of Brahmins referred to here as the Brahmin Samaj. This book was composed by Bilva Mangal, the Krishna Karnamrita. This book was composed by Bilva Mangal Thakur in 112 verses. There are 2 or 3 other books bearing the same name, and there are also 2 commentaries on Bilva Mangal's book. One commentary was written by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, and the other by Chaitanya Das Goswami. Krishna Karnamrita Shuni Prabhurananda Hoila Agraha Koriya Bhutil Lekaya Loila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very pleased to hear the book Krishna Karnamrita, and with great eagerness he had it copied and took it with him. Krishna Karnamrita Sam Vastu Nahi Tribhuvane Jaha Hoite Hoy Krishna Shuddha Prema Jnane. There is no comparison to the Krishna Karnamrita within the 3 worlds. By studying this book, one is elevated to the knowledge of pure devotional service to Krishna. So Mahaprabhu then collected South India 2 books, the Brahma Samhita and Krishna Karnamrita. And Brahma Samhita is giving Siddhanta, and the Krishna Karnamrita is giving us more rasa, you could say. It's a commentary on the love of Shishi Radha Krishna, or a book about that in poetic form. Saundarya Madhurya Krishna Lilara Avadi Sejane Jay Karnamrita Padin Niravadi. One who constantly reads the Krishna Karnamrita can fully understand the beauty and melodious taste of the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Brahma Samhita Karnamrita Dui Putipaya Maharatna Praya Pai Aila Sangeloya. The Brahma Samhita and Krishna Karnamrita were 2 books that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu considered to be most valuable jewels. Therefore, he took them with him on his return trip. Tapisnana Koreaila Mahishmati Pure Nana Tirtha Dekitahan Narmadara Tire. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu next arrived at the banks of the river Tapi. After bathing there, he went to Mahishmatipur, where, while there, he saw many holy places on the banks of the river Narmada. Danustirtha deki korela nirvindyate snane rishamuka girya Ila Dandakaranye. The Lord next arrived at Danustirtha, where he took his bath in the river near Vindhya. He then arrived at Rishamukha mountain and then went to Dandakaranya. Saptatala Brikadeki Kanana Bitar Ati Brida Ati Stula Ati Uchatar. Within the Dandakaranya forest, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then visited a place called Saptatala. The 7 palm trees there were very old, very bulky, and very high. I like that description. The 7 palm trees there were very old, very bulky, and very high. The name Saptatala is mentioned in the Shinkindya section of the Ramayana and is described in the 11th and 12th chapters of that section. Saptatala Deki Prabhu Alingana Koila Sasharire Saptatala Vaikuntha Chalila. Upon seeing the 7 palm trees, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced them. As a result, they all returned to Vaikuntha Loka, the spiritual world. Sanyastala Deki Loker Hoila Chamatkar Loke Kohe E Sanyasi Rama Avatar. After the 7 palm trees had departed for Vaikuntha, everyone was astonished to see that they were gone. The people then began to say, this sannyasi called Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu must be an incarnation of Lord Ramachandra. So there, Dandakaranya is at the forest of Dandakaranya where Ramachandra went with Sita. Sashere Talagela Sri Vaikuntadam Aiche Shakti Karahoy Bina Ekaram. Only Lord Ramachandra has the power to send 7 palm trees to the spiritual Vaikuntha planet. To the spiritual Vaikuntha planets. Prabhu Ashe Koila Pampa Sarovare Snan Panchavati Asitahan Korila Bishram. Eventually, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived at a lake known as Pampa, where he took his bath. And he then went to a place called Panchavati, where he rested. Nashike Triambaka Deki Gela Brahmagiri Keshavarti Aila Jahan Janmila Godavari. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then visited Nashik, where he saw the deity of Triambaka, Lord Shiva. He then went to Brahmagiri and then to Kushavarta, the source of the river Godavari. Sapta Godavari Aila Kore Tirtha Bahutar Punarapi Aila Prabhu Vidyanagar. After visiting many other holy places, the Lord went to Sapta Godavari. At last he returned to Vidyanagar. Ramananda Roy Shuni Prabhu Agaman Anande Asiya Koila Prabhu Sahab Milan. When Ramananda Roy heard that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had arrived, he was very pleased and he immediately went to see him. So we always say Ramananda Roy, and as far as I understand, the name Roy came in with the English Roy. Previously it was Ramananda Roy. But, okay. Dandavad Hanapade Charane Doriya Alingana Koila Prabhu Tare Uttaya. When Ramananda Roy fell flat, touching the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord immediately raised him to his feet and embraced him. Duijane Primabeshe Korana Krandan Premanande Shitila Hoila Duhara Man. In great ecstatic love, they both began to cry, and thus their minds were slackened. Katakane Dui Jana Shustira Hoya Nana Ishta Goshti Kore Ekatrabasya. After some time, they regained their senses and sat together to discuss various subjects. Tirtha Jatrakata Prabhu Sakala Kohila Karnamrita Brahma Samhita Dui Putya Dila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave Ramananda Roy a vivid description of his travels to the holy places and told him he had acquired the two books named Krishna Karnamrita and Brahma Samhita. The Lord delivered the books to Ramananda Roy. Prabhu kohe tumi jai siddhanta kohile edui puti se sabasakidile. The Lord said, whatever you have told me about devotional service is all supported by these two books. Rayarananda Hoila Pushtake Paya Prabhu Saha Ashwadila Rakila Likia. Ramananda Roy was very happy to receive these books. He tasted their contents along with the Lord and made a copy of each. Gosai Aila Grame Hoila Kolahal Prabhu Kede Kite Lok Ailas Sakal. News spread in the village of Vidyanagar about the arrival of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and everyone came to see him once again. Lokadeki Ramananda Gela Nijagare Madhyane Utila Prabhu Bika Koribare. After seeing the people who gathered there, Sri Ramananda Roy returned to his own home. At noon, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got up to take his lunch. Ratri Kale Rai Puna Koila Agaman Duijane Krishna Katai Koila Jaganan. Sri Ramananda Roy returned at night, and he and the Lord discussed topics concerning Krishna. Thus they passed the night. Duijane Krishna Kata Kohe Ratridine Paramanande Gela Pancha Shatadine. Ramananda Roy and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu discussed Krishna day and night, and thus they passed from 5 to 7 days in great happiness. Ramananda Gohe Prabhu Tomar Agyapaya Rajake Likilunami Vinoy Korea. Ramananda Roy said, my dear Lord, with your permission, I have already written a letter to the king with great humility. Rajamure Agyadila Nila Chale Jaite Chalibara Ujogami Lagijachi Korite. The king has already given me an order to return to Jagannath Puri, and I am making arrangements to do this. Prabhu Kohe Etamora E Nimite Agaman Tomaloya Nilachale Koribagaman. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then said, it is for this purpose alone that I have returned. I want to take you with me to Jagannath Puri. Raya Kohe Prabhu Age Chalandina Nilachale Murasange Hati Goda Shainya Kola Hole. Ramananda Roy said, my Lord, My dear Lord, it is better that you proceed to Jagannath Puri alone, because with me there will be many horses, elephants, and soldiers all roaring tumultuously. There'll be much noise with me and many people going. There'll be a lot of commotion, he's saying. Dina dashe iha sabar kore samadan tomara pache pachi ame koriba prayan. I shall make arrangements within 10 days. Following you, I shall go to Nilachala without delay. Tabe Mahaprabhu tare asite agyadiya Nilachali Chalila Prabhu Anandita Hoya, giving orders to Ramananda Roy to come to Nilachala. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu departed for Jagannath Puri with great pleasure. Sepate Purve Prabhu Koil Agaman, Sepate Chalila Deki Sarva Vaishnavagan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned by the same route. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned by the same road he had formerly taken to Vidyanagar, and all the Vaishnavas along the way saw him again. Jahajai Loka Ute Haridwani Kori Deke Anandita Man Hoila Hari. Wherever Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went, the holy name of Sri Hari was vibrated. Seeing this, the Lord became very happy. Alalnate Ashi Krishnadas Pataila Nityananda Adi Nijag Gane Bolaila. When the Lord reached Alalanath, he sent his assistant Krishnadas ahead to call for Nityananda Prabhu and other personal associates. Prabhu Ragaman Shuni Nityananda Rai Utila Chalila Preme Tehonahipai. As soon as Nityananda received news of the arrival of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he immediately got up and started out to see him. Indeed, he was very impatient in his great ecstasy. Jagannananda Damodar Pandit Mukunda Nachya Chalila. Jagannananda Damodar Pandit Mukunda Nachya Chalila Dehe Nadare Ananda. Sri Nityananda Rai, Jagannananda, Damodar Pandit, and Mukunda all became ecstatic in their happiness, and dancing along the way, they went to meet the Lord. Gopinathacharya Chalila Anandita Hoya Prabhure Milila Sabe Pate Ladbhaya. Gopinathacharya also went in a very happy mood. They all went to meet the Lord, and they finally contacted him on the way. Nityananda, Jagannanda, Damodar Pandit, and Mukunda. Okay. Prabhu Primaveshe Savai Koila Lingan, Primaveshe Sabe Kori Ananda Krandan. The Lord was also filled with ecstatic love, and he embraced them all. Out of their love, they began to cry with pleasure. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya Nande Chalila Samudrara Tire Asi Prabhure Milila. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya also went to see the Lord. Oh. Sanatani also here?
Yes.
Okay. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya Nande Chalila Samudrara Tirte Ashe Prabhure Milila. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya also went to see the Lord with great pleasure, and he met him on the beach by the sea. Sarvabhauma Mahaprabhu Padila Charane Prabhutare Utaya Koila Alingane. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya fell down at the lotus feet of the Lord, and the Lord pulled him up and embraced him. Premabeshe Sarvabhauma Korila Rodane Sabasange Aila Prabhu Ishwara Darshane. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya cried in great ecstatic love. Then the Lord, accompanied by them all, went to the temple of Jagannath. Jagannath Darshan Primaveshe Koila Kamba Sreda Pula Kash Rute Sharira Basila, due to ecstatic love experienced upon visiting Lord Jagannath, inundations of trembling, perspiration, tears, and jubilation swept the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Bahunatya Gita Koila Prima Vishta Hoya Panda Pao Aila Sabe Mala Prashadaloya. In ecstatic love, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced and chanted. At that time, all the attendants and priests came to offer him a garland and the remnants of Lord Jagannath's food. Mala Prashad Maya Prabhu Shushtira Hoila Jagannathara Sevaka Sab Anande Melila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became patient after receiving the garland and prasadam of Lord Jagannath. All the servants of Lord Jagannath met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with great pleasure. Kashi Mishra se Prabhur Padila Charane Manyakore Prabhutare Koila Alingane. Afterward, Kashi Mishra came and fell down at the lotus feet of the Lord, and the Lord respectfully embraced him. Prabhu Loya Sarvabhauma Nijagari Gela Moragare Bhikkabole Nimantrana Koila. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya then took the Lord with him to his home, saying, Today's luncheon will be at my house. In this way, he invited the Lord. Divya Mala, Divya Mahaprasad, Anika Anaila, Pita Pana, Adi Jagannathara Jaikoila. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya brought various types of food remnants that had been left by Lord Jagannath. He brought all kinds of cakes and condensed milk preparations. Well, actually, Pita Pana means like a kind of a bread and a beverage. It's not exactly condensed milk. It's like, this is something traditional in Orissa. Madhyana Korila Prabhu Nijagana Loya Sarvabhauma Gare Bhikka Korila Asiya. Accompanied by all his associates, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's house and took his noon lunch there. Bhikka Karana Tare Korila Shayan Apane Sarvabhauma Kohe Bhikka Karana Tare Korila Shayan Apane Sarvabhauma Kore Para Sambahan. After offering food to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya made him lie down to rest, and he personally began to massage the legs of the Lord. Prabhu Tare Pataila Bhojana Korite Shri Ratri Se Ratri Taragare Rohila Tara Prite. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then met Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya to take his lunch, and the Lord remained that night in his home just to please him. Sarvabhauma Sange Ara Laya Nijagan Tirtha Jatra Kata Kohe Koila Jagaran. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his personal associates remained with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. They all stayed awake the entire night as the Lord spoke of his pilgrimage. Prabhu Kohe Eta Tirtha Koilun Paryatan Tomasama Vaishnava Na Dekilun Ekjan. The Lord told Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, I have traveled to many holy places, but I could not find a Vaishnava as good as you anywhere. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he said, by saying this, Mahaprabhu was saying, I traveled to the holy places. He went to South India. And the holy places are known as the places of the acharyas, because you can say all the Vaishnava acharyas, that is Ramanujacharya, Nimbarkacharya, Madhvacharya, and who was the Nimbarkacharya, Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, and Vishnu Swami. They're all from South India, as is Shankaracharya. So it's known as, there's some saying that says, Purber neye paschimer meye uttarer kata dakiner mata. It means Purber neye in East India, which is like Bangladesh. Purber neye, you'll find a good boatman, because there's so many rivers. Purber neye, good boatman. Paschimer meye. And in West India, well, it's said like Vrindavan was counted as West India, but further we can say now Bombay, Mumbai, Purber neye, Paschimer meye, you'll find a good wife, Paschimer meye. Uttara kata, that in the north you'll find good kata, like Krishna kata, because that's the place of Vyasadeva. And in the south, mata means good brain. So Purber neye, Paschimer meye, Uttarer kata, Dakiner mata. So Mahaprabhu said to Sarvabhaumacharya, I went to the place of the acharyas, but I couldn't find anyone as good as you. So Mahaprabhu's, actually, according to Guru Maharaj, he said he's praising his own creation, because Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya became so good, but by Mahaprabhu's transformation of him. So Mahaprabhu, in one sense, is praising his own creation. And then he says, with the exception of Ramananda Roy, he's very... Eka Ramananda Roy Bahu Sukadila Bata Kohe E Lagi Milite Kohila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, I received much pleasure from the talks of Ramananda Roy. The Bhattacharya replied, for this reason I requested that you meet him. In the Sri Chaitanya Chandradoya, beginning of the 8th act, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Sarvabhauma, I have traveled to many holy places, but I cannot find a Vaishnava as good as you anywhere. However, I must admit that Ramananda Roy is wonderful. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya replies, therefore, my lord, I requested that you see him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then says, there are, of course, many Vaishnavas in these holy places, and most of them worship Lord Narayan. Others, who are called Tattvavadis, are also Lakshmi Narayan worshippers, but they do not belong to the pure Vaishnava cult. There are many worshippers of Lord Shiva, and there are also many atheists. Regardless, my dear Bhattacharya, I very much like Ramananda Roy and his opinions. Tirtha Jatre Kata E Koilun Samapan Sankete Kohilun Vishtarana Jaivarnan. Thus I have ended my narration about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pilgrimage, describing it in brief. It cannot be described very broadly. Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur points out that in the 74th verse of the chapter it is stated that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the temple of Shiaili Bhairavi. But actually at Shiaili, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the temple of Sri Bhuvaraha. Near Shiaili and Chidambaram, there is a temple known as Mushtam. In this temple, there is a deity of Sri Bhuvaraha. In the jurisdiction of Chidambaram, there is a district known as Southern Arcata. The town of Shiaili is in that district. So there is a temple of Sri Bhuvaraha Dev nearby, not Bhairavi Devi. This is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's conclusion. Okay. So, yes, there'll be a few discrepancies, but Ananta Chaitanya Lila Kohitena Jani Lobe laja kanatara kore tanatani. The pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are unlimited. No one can properly describe his activities. Yet I make the attempt out of, here it says greed, out of greed. This but reveals my shamelessness. Pastimes of Lord Chaitanya are unlimited. No one can properly describe his activities, yet I make the attempt out of greed. This but reveals my shamelessness. But, this kind of greed is a very good kind of greed. Because it is also the word lobha, greed, but it is also said the only way you get love of Krishna is by having intense greed for it. Prabhura Tirtha Jatra Kata Shune Jajan Chaitanya Charane Pai Gata Premadan. Whoever hears Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pilgrimage to various holy places attains the riches of very deep ecstatic love. Chaitanya Charita Shuna Shraddha Bhakti Kori Matsarya Chariya Muke Bola Hari Hari. Please hear the transcendental pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with faith and devotion. Giving up envy of the Lord, everyone chant the Lord's holy name, Hari. Ekali Kali Ar Nahikan Kona Dharma Vaishnava Shastra Eko Hemarma. In this age of Kali, there are no genuine religious principles other than those established by Vaishnava devotees in the Vaishnava scriptures. This is the sum and substance of everything. Chaitanya Chandralila Agara Gambhir Pravesha Korite Nare Sparshi Rohitira. The pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are just like an unfathomable ocean. It is not possible for me to enter into it simply standing on the shore. I am but touching the water. Chaitanya Charita Shraddhai Shuni Jajan Jatika Bichare Tata Pai Premadan. The more one hears the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with faith, analytically studying them, the more one attains the ecstatic riches of love of Godhead. Shri Rupa Raghunath Parijara As Chaitanya Charitamrita Kohe Krishnadas. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. As usual, the author concludes the chapter by reciting the names of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath and reinstating himself at their lotus feet. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya-lila, 9th chapter, describing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's travels to many holy places in South India. So, I'll also see what my schedule is tomorrow, but perhaps tomorrow we'll start a little more early because I'm not sure when I have a doctor's appointment, but I want to read before I go.
7 o'clock, maybe?
Well, I don't know about 7, maybe 7:30. Today wasn't even 8; it was 8:30. So if I get by 7:30, should be kind of good, I think. Okay, now. There are 2 pairs of kartos here, because one says, I believe I bought these kartos. They say BPJ, but I don't use them so much. I use these that say, what do these say? They say, it's hard to read, but exactly. You say Vidura Krishna. Vidura Krishna. That's what these are. These are my adopted cards. Hare Hare. Okay, I got to change the set here. Hare Hare Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama Jaravaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinatha Maranamo Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra Janardan Shiva Sadi Gora Bhaktivedanta Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhakta Raguna Sri Jiva Gopala Bhakta Rasa Raguna Jai Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan Jao Te Vignana Shamishta Puran Jai Gosai Jar Mui Taradas Kasabar Pada Renu Mora Panchagas Kader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas Janame Janame More Abhilas Ekai Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Tilak Neri Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajaka Chania Ashtatara Sadasi Shimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajaka Charya Ashtatara Sadasi Shimad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Bharga Ki Jai. Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath. Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dash Raghunath. Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Premsigo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Shri Gaura Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai. Srila Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Vishvavaranya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupad Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Ram Mayapur Ki Jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Shri Koladvip Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Soquel Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopika Vardhan Sham Kuna Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Jo Ki Jai. Shri Purushottam Madam Ki Jai. Baladev Subhadra Jagannath Jo Ki Jai. Bhakti Vigna Vinashaya Shina Sringadev Ki Jai. Bhakta Prabhata Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Lalita Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. All the assembled devotees Ki